Pro Football Today. We're on SportsGrid. Joe Lisi, I'm Kevin Walsh. A lot to get to here following an NFL Sunday slate, Joe, that featured some really good ones. The slate closed with Kansas City's biggest win of the season, knocking off the Detroit Lions. We saw some moves within these divisions. Colts extend their lead. Steelers, really importantly, extend their lead. But the big news here to start our show, the Tennessee Titans, after losing once again this weekend to the Vegas Raiders, they have fired second-year head coach Brian Callahan. Of course, the Tennessee Titans home to this year's number one overall pick, Cam Ward. So once again, Joe, we see a number one overall pick, head coach, fired during their first season. The Titans axed Brian Callahan.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, they were gifted a victory a couple of weeks ago against Arizona. They stepped up. It was Cam Ward's best performance, 268 yards. They put up points in the fourth quarter. You thought it would continue in back-to-back road games against Las Vegas, completely one-dimensional, conservative. They're down by 2 scores. He's running the football on first down multiple times, down by 2 touchdowns with 7 minutes left. Completely pathetic effort, lack of enthusiasm, and hopefully a change that'll benefit Cam Ward with an interim staff. But whoever they get in there, Kev, they need to evolve. They need to get some playmakers on the outside of Calvin Ridley. But besides that, he couldn't coach up Will Levis. Certainly couldn't coach up Cam Ward.
This is a really interesting spot where I think for Tennessee, in hiring Brian Callahan, year number one, the results were really bad. And there might have been some temptation in the room to move off of Callahan, but you're right to bring up Will Levis because Levis was bad. So it's like, it's maybe not his fault. But sometimes when you get a coach in the building, you think about where are they from, right? Everyone grabs usually McVay tree, Shanahan tree. The Titans went to the Zach Taylor tree. The Bengals don't even like having the Zach Taylor tree in their own building. So that automatically was a little bit odd. You look at offense right now, last in yards per game, second to last in points per game, last in offensive EPA. Offensive guy, it's not a defensive issue. They're the worst offense in football. That wasn't supposed to be the case. Cam Ward was supposed to give them a little bit of juice here, Joe, and it just has not happened. And we've seen this team check into these games, big spreads. Heck, the market moved towards them going into the matchup with the Raiders, right? No Colton Miller, no Brock Bowers for Vegas. And the Titans never had a chance, really, to cover that football game. They scored 10 on a really, really bad Las Vegas Raiders defense.
Yeah, and you think about the defense for Tennessee, it hasn't played all that bad. I mean, they've been opportunistic. Their linebacker play is solid. They're very good against run support with Simmons leading that front seven. And at the end of the day, when your offense is out there, you want to see explosive chunk type of plays. And we didn't see it. It was limited and not often for the Tennessee Titans. But they have playmakers. I mean, Tajay Spears, Tony Pollard at the running back position. They draft Gunnar Helm, the tight end out of Texas. There are some playmakers, but from an offensive perspective and philosophy, Brian Callahan was like a deer in the headlights. But we've seen this, Kev. We look at the situation with Aaron Glenn and how bad that defense is, right? He's supposed to be a defensive mastermind, yet that defense has been pathetic. So, again, these coaches get into the situation, and they're playing not to lose, and they lose their identity. Yeah. And at the end of the day, they're better coordinators maybe than they are head coaches.
The questions really for Tennessee, though, now that you've made this move, is what can you expect this season? Updated win total checks in 3.5, -110 either direction. They have 1 win currently on their schedule. But what you can expect from this team depends a lot on what you can expect for Cam Ward. I want to take everyone back to draft night, where Cam Ward, everyone said they felt bad for. There's never been a number one overall pick talked about less. We keep focusing on the Colorado kids, right? The trade up for Travis Hunter, the slide for Shedeur Sanders. Cam Ward should thank his lucky stars that he is the least talked about number one overall pick. I like Cam Ward. I think there's a chance he is good. I know there are highlight throws on tape, but the in-between is the worst quarterback in football. He is the worst quarterback in football right now. His QBR is a 25. It's dead last. His passer rating is only higher than Joe Flacco. His Pro Football Focus grade is only higher than Jake Browning. Shout out the Bengals. I guess it's all connected. Joe, Cam Ward where are you at? Because people will, I think rightfully, feel bad for him that this has played out the way it has, but he's certainly a part of why this has gone this way.
Yeah, a little bit. I think you make the assessment that he's similar to Caleb Williams last year. You see the good, you see the bad, you see the ugly, and look at the weapons around him. I mean, outside of Calvin Ridley, I mean, that wide receiver corps, that's one of the worst in the NFL. And then you on top of that, put the conservative play calling, whereas in long third down situations, they don't open up the offense until they're trailing by double digits. You can't build a quarterback in that capacity and expect him to progress in an NFL scheme when you're not developing talent and an offensive philosophy around his strengths. Certainly a different offense than what they ran in Miami when he put up numbers, a much different offense than what he ran at Washington State. We're not seeing him run and utilize his legs as much as he did on the college level. He wants to be a pure pocket passer, and I get that. But at the end of the day, that's why I think potentially, we brought it up in the break, a coach like Cliff Kingsbury, an offensive mind potentially that can develop a game plan much to Cam Ward's strengths isn't a bad situation. But they have to be proactive, and they have to get in talent in there to coach it up as well.
You do actually have an interesting situation for Tennessee where, it's not as if you fire Brian Callahan in the early October month because you're in a race to get your coach in the door, right? Like, that's just, it speaks to how bad everything was for Brian Callahan. You're right to bring up potential candidates. I think as we sit here, though, I think, again, where we are on the calendar, Joe, no obvious names.
No.
Joe Brady in Buffalo,
Right.
You're right, Cliff Kingsbury in Washington are ones to watch. I think there will be more that develops throughout this season. I do think it is a certainty or a near certainty they go offensive-minded coach, right, to try and pair with Cam Ward because of the quarterback relationship. But I think the question then is what we expect from this team short-term and long-term. They next week, I guess appropriately, host their former head coach and Mike Vrabel. They opened as actually a 6.5-point underdog. This number's up to 7 across the board. I don't know how much of that is people betting New England overnight or if we've ticked up a little bit now through the Brian Callahan news. I actually would assume that Brian Callahan being fired is going to get some people to play Tennessee on the fired head coach theory. What are your thoughts on the notion of this Titans team hanging in games, upsets against the number now that Callahan's out?
Well, again, I believe in Cam Ward. Again, I would play more overs now that the head coach is fired, potentially to develop Cam Ward in the passing attack. Again, you can't wait till the fourth quarter. You can't wait until you're trailing by double digits to all of a sudden open it up. You have to develop a quarterback. You have to make sure that he can handle the playbook. You have to make sure that you have the offensive weapons around him. And why wait? So I think the complacency now is out of the window. Now that Callahan's gone, they open it up. They see what they have from a talent perspective, and then they can gauge basically the head coach that can cultivate and coach it up and mentor it up. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't bet on them from a side perspective, but I would expect Cam Ward and that offense to have more explosive plays moving forward.
Another name I'll just throw out there is Kubiak now with Seattle.
It's possible.
There's a lot of buzz for the early run in New Orleans. We know Derek Carr ends up injured. Seattle right now offensively looks so much better than I know people were projecting. Just certainly a name to watch in that respect. Again, Tennessee firing Brian Callahan are once again headed towards the top of the draft, an updated 3.5 win total. Cam Ward has a lot on his plate throughout the rest of his rookie season. We go to two coaches who are very secure in their spot, and Andy Reid and Dan Campbell. They clashed on Sunday Night Football. What did we learn? We'll tell you next right here on Pro Football Today.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there. But the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
He's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Sunday night football. Chiefs Lions. What did we learn? What we learned is the Detroit Lions are destined to break my heart. Jahmyr Gibbs over 65.5 rush yards, had 68, handed it to him for absolutely no reason, somehow lost 3, and then had no idea that they needed to obviously run it on 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, and they would have then continued that football game. And they didn't do that, and that was really frustrating. But I'm pretty sure that was my biggest takeaway and not a legitimate biggest takeaway on the biggest game on this Sunday slate. Joe, we talked a lot about this one when we were getting ready here between KC and Detroit, and it's a little unfair if someone were to like the Lions coming in and then watch Kansas City kind of light them up. Like, wow, the Lions were really injured. We knew the Lions were injured. It is a part of why the Chiefs looked as good as they did. So give Kansas City a ton of credit, but I think we're trying to find out from the Chiefs side, how back are they? Because we know, and again, we've done this dance a number of times, right? The notion of Mahomes playing to the standard. And this is what I know I want to see. This is the stuff that I was demanding that we didn't get for 2 seasons in a row. We're starting to get now. How do you feel about the Chiefs off of their 30-17 victory against the Lions moving forward?
From an offensive perspective, they're back. And part of that is because they have speed on the outside with Marquise Brown, 100% healthy, Xavier Worthy, 100% healthy, the addition of Brashard Smith that has been involved in the offense over the past couple of weeks coming out of SMU. So you see speed that opens up everything from every level in the passing attack. And now that's why you're seeing the success of Travis Kelce as well, getting more involved. When they didn't have the speed on the outside, they were completely one-dimensional. They had no hint of a rushing attack consistency, and that put them into long 3rd downs. And you saw in the Super Bowl, Pat Mahomes was buried early and often. But now when you spread it out and you open things up, Mahomes is allowed to cook. Everybody's eating. And when Rashee Rice gets back in that offense, they're not going to have a problem, I don't believe, putting up points. I do believe, though, that the mainstay of that team, which was the defense, has been slightly exposed. And even though they were able to get this victory against Detroit, you saw that type of offensive philosophy. And you say, okay, when you attack Kansas City at every level, star tight end, big play wide receiver, big play slot wide receiver, speed at the running back position that can not only run the football but catch it out of the backfield, they are very, I just think, pedestrian at times. And yes, they win this game. Without a doubt. It was a blue-collar victory, and they were deserving to win. But I think it's an uphill battle for this team to just say they're the best in the AFC because they beat Detroit Sunday night.
Joe, I I love everything you said there because for me, I think there's a number of lessons to take, but I do not think this is a Super Bowl favorites clear away.
No.
Here we go. Ultimately, if you look through the Mahomes numbers, this was the best game that he has played this season. 4 total touchdowns. He's now tied a career high with 4 rushing touchdowns already this year through 6 weeks. It was his first game over 8 yards per attempt. He had 3 touchdowns, didn't throw an interception. His highest passer rating in a game, his highest QBR in a game since week number 1. A lot of that was elevated by the rush work. My point is this. Why I bring up that Detroit banged-up defense. Mahomes took advantage of a bad defense, which is what the Lions were yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to take credit away because that's what he needs to do. No more of Mahomes' blech performances through 17 weeks, and we pretend it's okay. It's not okay. Not from one of the greats. That's who Mahomes is supposed to be.
Right.
Not just all time, but right now. Many people believe, myself included, that he's the best quarterback in football. So when you go up against a team whose entire secondary can't walk or isn't available, you got to absolutely put it on him. And that's what he did. But the defensive concerns are legitimate. Chris Jones doesn't look himself. He's not looked right really at any moment this year. And I think there is at least, I want to be careful with this because it could be like famous last words. You can already picture it, final play of a season type of thing. But I wonder if there's some figuring out of Spags. Oh, he's just going to blitz? Always? Like, you know what I mean? And the personnel doesn't feel as good. It's a great win for Kansas City. They are obviously a contender. They're, of course, a threat to still win the AFC West because I think the biggest thing for the Chiefs is a loss here. You're 2-4 with a couple of 4-2 teams in front of you. It really would have been dire. I have no problem with their booking in terms of second overall in the AFC or up there in the Super Bowl odds, but I am not going to sit here and tell you I'm running to bet Chiefs futures. Simultaneously, though, Joe, not running to bet Lions futures.
No.
Not running to bet Lions futures.
Again, when they lose to Washington in the first round last year, 9.5-point favorite, that defense still looks like that defense of old. And again, we talked about there's not one team in the NFL that doesn't have question marks. Not one. There's not one.
Really
I thought it was Philadelphia. I was wrong because now I believe they have locker room situation. Yeah. So that's always a factor, not from a talent perspective because I think they're young enough, obviously, on both sides of the ball. But every team has a question mark. So when you say Kansas City, not running to the window to bet them, I totally agree because if Buffalo brings their A game, they could beat. Now they haven't done it in a playoff type of situation, but Buffalo's certainly equipped to go toe-to-toe with Kansas City. I believe Denver, on a good day, could potentially knock off Kansas City. I think the way Indianapolis is playing, and I know it's Daniel Jones, and I get that, but when you have Jonathan Taylor ripping off runs, you have that defense that all of a sudden is physical and forcing turnovers. I'm not going to say never. Chargers, I think, just because of the defensive concerns
and
they got to get healthier in that aspect. But at the end of the day, there's now where it was just maybe the Ravens and Bills.
Yeah,
I'd say there's 4 or 5 teams if they're on their A game, they could definitely upset the Chiefs on a given day.
But I really, really think this is important for people to remember with the Detroit Lions. Okay. The Detroit Lions, they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to contend for a top seed. The North is tough, though, so they could be 1 or 5, 2. Like, that's how it goes. It's just very important to remember. The Detroit Lions are the best team in football at destroying a team they're better than.
Yes.
But
they play bully ball.
But what that does, it happened last year, it inflates their numbers. DVOA, right? It is valuable. Trust me, I'm far more on the nerd side than not. The efficiency, the metrics, they matter, okay? But there's not a great job in realizing that Detroit playing Green Bay and Kansas City and losing both by 13+ means way more than Detroit beating Chicago by 30 or beating the Browns by 24. It matters way more what you do versus the best. And at the moment, what the Lions have done versus the best is get beat down.
Yeah.
And that is an important note. With this win for Mahomes, that MVP conversation is loud. But there's someone down in Florida whose drum is banging just as loud. We'll talk about it next with you on Pro Football Today.
While
well, maybe that Chiefs dynasty is actually crumbling. And listen, I don't blame you for that, but you would be wrong. Here's what actually happened in that game last night. See, the Kansas City Chiefs dominated the Jacksonville Jaguars pretty much up and down that field. They outgained them, Donnie. You ready by this? By over 150 yards of offense.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Basically a year's worth of starts at this point, because remember, Drake May was not the starter out of the gate during his rookie year last year. That was Jacoby Brissett. There have been some, encouraging performances and, I think some flashes of what could be upper echelon talent within the scope of the league. But going into this year, it was, we're going to find out.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night. Bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190.
Right.
These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are we going to sit here today and acknowledge that the Indianapolis Colts right now are the best team in the AFC?
They are right now.
They can run the football with Taylor. They got a competent quarterback, the way he's playing right now, in Daniel Jones. They are well coached.
They never punt.
They never punt.
They never punt.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
With you right here on SportsGrid, Kevin Walsh with Joe Lisi. And, Joe, the MVP conversation, now that we're, a little bit deeper in, you're starting to see who's emerging. And there is someone that you have been a team even a bit as well, but a player that you've said needs more credit, needs more respect. And that's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield has never been given more respect in the market. He was actually all the way up to the second best odds to win league MVP, and then Mahomes had a 4 total touchdown game, on Sunday night, so that shifted things a little bit. But under 5-1, it's a clear top 3, in the market right now. How do you feel about Baker Mayfield when we're talking league's MVP?
Love him and deserving. I mean, and my argument was not just this year. It was in previous years as well, because of the success of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and just winning division titles, making it to the playoffs, knocking off some of the better teams like the Philadelphia Eagles a couple years ago in a playoff type of setting, and still not given the love as some of the other quarterbacks like Justin Herbert or some of the others in the market that didn't even do anything from a playoff perspective. And Baker, all he does is win. And now they're 5-1. And now he's not doing it with, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. He's not doing it with McMillan and Ibuka that was out yesterday. Yep. He's doing it with Tez Johnson, a rookie, and a bunch of backups that they just put together in a mash unit. And all Baker's doing, babies, he's cooking like he was in Norman. Now, listen, it took him a while to get to this point, but I credit his progression, his maturity, not giving up, believing in himself because he went to Carolina. He started in Cleveland, and looking where he's progressed. He got a win for Sean McVay on a Monday night against Las Vegas where they scraped him off the street for the Rams, right? All he does is perform now at an elite level. He's going to be potentially a 5,000-yard passer this year.
Yeah, last year Baker threw for 4,500 on the nose.
I know.
So,
and his number this year was only like 4,000.
I know.
I know, but I'm saying if it was Burrow, if it was Josh Allen, it wouldn't be the case.
I got you. So here's the interesting thing for Baker, where right now, again, just the catch-all metrics. None of them are perfect. I like to use them for point of reference, right? Passer rating, QBR, Pro Football Focus grade. He doesn't rank first in any of them. But what Baker has going for him, because of that, Joe,
right,
is all of these injuries. It's an NBA-esque argument that is building for Baker Mayfield of look who is around him. Right? Look who he is elevating here. And what's going to happen is Baker's going to play a lot of this season, I think it is almost now a certainty. He will play more games without at least one of Emeka, Godwin, and Evans than with all the three of them. He might play more games than not with two of that trio missing. I mean, they've already ruled out Godwin for Week 7, which, you know, I mean,
no Bucky Irvin yesterday. I mean, come on.
So for Baker, that is a huge part of the candidacy. He also plays the game the way people want it to be played. That is not a slight. It's just true.
Right.
People want gunslingers. People want guys to throw the football around at the quarterback position. And that's exactly what Baker Mayfield is doing. And he has had a lot of almost turnovers, but they haven't come in yet. So that leads to 12 touchdowns to 1 interception. And the other thing that Baker has right now going for him, Joe, I've said this to you 100 times. I'll say it to you 100 more. This team is the biggest favorite of any team to win their division. This team has a run out to potentially grab a 1 or a 2 seed.
Right.
And wins and the record, the seed has mattered as much as anything in MVP races in the last decade plus. And for Baker, for the South, it's still not great. He is going to have himself a real shout here to finish with 13 wins.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
And if he's 13 wins and you're getting a guy on the cheap, would they sign him $30 million per year?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to break the bank.
But my point is, maybe this is just a foundation and a blueprint of what teams are going to do moving forward. We've seen success. Sam Darnold, you keep going down the list. Daniel Jones now with Indiana. We see a resurgence and a rejuvenation in just these quarterbacks that were looked at and viewed as number one picks. All of a sudden, they're living up to the expectation, right? Time sometimes. So we'll see. But Baker Mayfield, again, we knew he had one of the highest completion percentages in all of FBS when he came out of Oklahoma, 71%. He's finally coming into his own. But I will say this, no matter what, whoever you throw out there, high school kids, he's going to throw for 4,000 yards. That's what makes him so special.
So I agree with that, but I will say this, okay? For Baker, we're talking MVP, but when we're talking the high level, because you want them to have better odds in the NFC and all that.
I just want the respect.
I understand that. Trust me, in my house, they love what you're saying. They do have to get healthy at some point.
Yes.
It's October.
Yes, but that defense is also much improved.
I thought it had an opportunity to be so, but they have
to get healthy by December.
Healthy. Todd Bowles, former Jets head coach. Aaron Glenn, future former Jets head coach. We're talking Jets next.
Well, maybe that Chiefs dynasty is actually crumbling. And listen, I don't blame you for that, but you would be wrong. Here's what actually happened in that game last night. See, the Kansas City Chiefs dominated the Jacksonville Jaguars pretty much up and down that field. They outgained them, Donnie. You ready by this? By over 150 yards of offense.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Basically a year's worth of starts at this point, because remember, Drake May was not the starter out of the gate during his rookie year last year. That was Jacoby Brissett. There have been some, encouraging performances and, I think some flashes of what could be upper echelon talent within the scope of the league. But going into this year, we're going to find out.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night. Bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190.
Right.
These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are we going to sit here today and acknowledge that the Indianapolis Colts right now are the best team in the AFC?
They are right now.
They can run the football with Taylor. They got a competent quarterback the way he's playing right now in Daniel Jones. They are well coached.
They never punt.
They never punt.
They never punt.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Pro Football Today here with you, Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi. We were talking a little bit before we got going about how many teams, who saw the biggest drop in their feeling week over week, right? And you think about a team like the Ravens, right? They were already low. Oh, my goodness, the goal line thing against the Rams. I mean, you know, the confidence level, it drops, right? Dallas, you lose to Carolina. Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Hard to take you serious. It drops. For the Jets, you're 0-5. How bad could it be? I got to tell you, I think they're the biggest faller week over week. The vibes for the Jets, the vibes around the Jets fan base, who lost by 2 to what some view as a legit contender, certainly a playoff threat in the Denver Broncos, is as bad as you will see. The offense, much maligned, understandably. Justin Fields threw for 45 yards, sacked for 55 yards. Ground game never got going. And the Jets now remain the only winless team sitting at 0-6. And the chatter around Aaron Glenn's job security is rising as the Jets take another step closer to having the first overall pick.
That was their best defensive performance of the year. You can argue. Came overseas against one of the better offenses in the AFC. But, yeah, this team is completely gutless. I mean, it starts at the top. I thought they would be much better. And, again, I don't think it's offensively so much. I think it's the defense, how bad he has been with this defensive group. They have no defensive identity. They're not physical. You can run on them. And, again, another head coach that just seems to put the square peg into the round hole. I don't know. At the end of the day, I think you look at Aaron Glenn. He looks like a coordinator trying to be a head coach. There was no, I mean, based off this performance, I haven't seen anything from his head coaching experience and what he's done in the first 6 games of the regular season that warrants, oh, wow, this guy's progressing week to week.
Can I ask you something quickly?
They're horrible.
Can I just ask you something, though? Because sometimes I feel like I am crazy.
Go ahead.
And I get scared to say something because maybe my memory isn't there. Were Aaron Glenn's defenses in Detroit good?
No, but you see, but if we've had Cap on, we've talked to he knows every level of the organization. He knows the recruiting. He knows the scouting. Who cares? Can he coach X's and O's? I really don't care if he knows the water boy. The bottom line is, can he coach defense? No, obviously not, because your defenses are getting gashed by offenses each and every week.
Yeah.
And when the game was on the line, your defense couldn't make a stand. We sat here on this desk watching the game, and I told you they were going to give it up and lose 13-11 because you could see that playing out. He's coaching not to lose. Callahan coaching not to lose.
It was a real most
These guys are
man history in the
ridiculous.
sports media moment for you there. It was nice to see.
What was it?
Most unbiased man history of sports media myself.
Yeah.
That was nice. You kind of stepped into that play. Like, everybody wants to. Right, try and do that a little bit.
Somebody has on Saturdays.
No, again, tries, fails miserably, doesn't get it, can never say it clean. Most people can. It's a tongue twister somehow, unless you really are in.
Embrace it?
Yes, but, that was a good, really, because you usually no, they got it, right? Here's the thing about Aaron Glenn being fired. How did our show begin? Talk about Brian Callahan being fired for a year, not only a rookie quarterback, but the first overall pick, right? Season ends today. The Jets have the first overall pick. You would think means they're drafting a quarterback.
Okay.
So I ask you a tough question.
Go ahead.
You giving up on Justin Fields?
Yes and no. I mean, again, you can't take...
So if I can dissect that, yes, and I have to say yes, but no, because not at all.
No, because part of me... I watched the play. I watched the play calling too.
Oh, come on.
No, but
what were they supposed to call?
But again,
draw.
I mean, how many 5-yard outs for Garrett Wilson? Could we get the guy vertical? Could we get the guy on a seam route? Could we get the guy on an out and up? Could we get him on a post pattern? Could we do something outside of just a 5-yard drop?
Sacked 9 times.
I know, but part of that too, everybody will say your offensive line, it's Justin Fields. It's also play calling. When you're in predictable third down situations, time and time again, they're going to Nick Benito and that defensive front are going to get after you.
Yeah.
When you play action or you put him into it, he's not in a rhythm. Run 2-minute offense in the second quarter. Get him into a little bit of. Why do you have to go run Brees Hall on first down, run Brees Hall on second down, 3rd and 8 sack? Tell me why that is. Why do you have to let the play clock go down to 2 seconds, everything when you're trailing? Why is there no tempo out of the offense? I mean, if I could see it, every moron could see it. But Aaron Glenn sits there again with that stupid look on his face that Callahan and all these garbage head coaches have, and they expect the team to figure it out. We're paying you $5 and $10 million to make these calls. I'm not relying on the coordinators. Your job is on the line. Why are we relying on somebody else?
Yeah, listen, I think they're all on the line.
Because he's a manager. He's a CEO. He doesn't want to take accountability. All these guys don't want to take accountability.
I hear you.
It's your football team.
Listen, I hear you. But for me, I think for Justin Fields, right, look, there's been a lot of reclamation projects in recent memory. We just did a whole Baker MVP segment, right?
Yeah.
Sam Darnold is going to be in Seattle maybe for a while. Geno had his moment in the sun. My gosh, he can't leave one of these games without a pick. It's unbelievable.
Him too. I mean, this Chip Kelly can't wait to run the football.
No,
I mean, run, Genty, first down, second down. He's matriculating all down the field with this straight.
If I were them, I was watching an Ivy League game the other day. I'd steal, run on first and second, punt on third. I'm not letting that dude throw the football at it. They punted on the third down in an Ivy League
Cornell,
game.
I saw it.
Did you see? Why were you watching that?
It doesn't matter.
Listen, it was unbelievable. So I'm just, to me, Fields has been given chances. I liked him coming out. I felt like I was betting on his games at Ohio State every single week, right? I always thought it was their moment. It was not. I remember I once thought I got ahead of the books when he was transferring to Ohio State out of Georgia, and I was like, oh, they're going to do a workaround on the rule. And, you know, my point is this. He's had chances, Joe. He's not the guy.
All right, he's not the guy. He's not, maybe he'll be like Baker and Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones.
No.
Maybe.
What do you mean? That would be now.
Right. Okay.
Who else? Come on.
No, I know. What? Who else?
The only thing I guess
you're telling me if he went to another garbage team, he couldn't elevate them.
The only thing that I would give you a break on.
Go to Cleveland.
If Cleveland. Well, I was just gonna say, like, if he could get himself an offensive coach we feel good about, maybe that would be different, because I don't think that's happened for him during his tenure.
You're telling me if he was with Kingsbury, it wouldn't be this bad?
Yeah, I don't think it would be this bad, but it wouldn't be as good as it is with Jaden Daniels.
No, well, Jaden Daniels.
Why? But that's the team that you brought up.
Light years ahead of Justin Fields.
Are you? But your analysis doesn't sound like that.
No, I believe in him. I think he could be a starter in this league.
No, you can't.
I do.
You can't enter a season with him as your starting quarterback. If your plan is to lose games, Joe, you called him a winner to start the season.
He did win. He's on this garbage team.
He's the only winless team. You said he's a winner.
Look at how many won-loss? 1, 2, 3.
Yes, they've lost 3 games by 1 score. They gave up. One of them was to Pittsburgh. It felt like they were actually going to have fun this year, and they did not.
Right.
One of them was the game against Denver. Things have never felt worse. And then one of them was to the Dolphins, and that's the only game the Dolphins have won. I'm not giving them credit for that.
No, I mean, defense wore down in the heat.
You can't give up. Have you seen that they started as favorites in the game against Carolina?
It could be something. Carolina playing well, 3-3 right now.
They're a good home team. The little home road splits, a little college football-esque.
It's not bad. 500, get to a bowl.
Bryce Young in the Outback Bowl.
Yeah,
That's probably too good of a bowl for the Carolina Panthers. This is just one of...
Where are you, honestly, on the Jets? I mean, there's talent there. You can't tell me every time we talk on this desk, Breece Hall isn't one of the names that we'll shop around. I mean, Garrett Wilson, if you had him on any other team, he'd probably be a 1,200-yard receiver. If he was with Baker, I'm sure he'd have multiple touchdowns.
I hate to say it, but I'm glad you asked. You say there's talent there. I'm not sure how much talent there is. Garrett is good. I think the offensive line is solid. I think they got it right in Membu. Sauce, question mark.
Yeah.
Breece, question mark. Also, hashtag soon to be traded. Quinnen Williams, I don't hear much from him anymore. I mean, he's all right. He's not a superstar. This team does not have a lot of talent. They don't have good coaching, and they have no quarterback. Let's spin it around the rest of this league after the break on SportsGrid.
Well, maybe that Chiefs dynasty is actually crumbling. And listen, I don't blame you for that, but you would be wrong. Here's what actually happened in that game last night. See, the Kansas City Chiefs dominated the Jacksonville Jaguars pretty much up and down that field. They outgained them, Donnie. You ready by this? By over 150 yards of offense.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Basically a year's worth of starts at this point, because remember, Drake May was not the starter out of the gate during his rookie year last year. That was Jacoby Brissett. There have been some, encouraging performances and, I think some flashes of what could be upper echelon talent within the scope of the league. But going into this year, it was, we're going to find out.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night. Bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190.
Right.
These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are we going to sit here today and acknowledge that the Indianapolis Colts right now are the best team in the AFC?
They are right now.
They can run the football with Taylor. They got a competent quarterback, the way he's playing right now, in Daniel Jones. They are well coached.
They never punt.
They never punt.
They never punt.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
With you right here on SportsGrid. Little temperature check around some of these other teams, Joe, who cannot really be happy with where things stand. Most notably the Baltimore Ravens, though we got an important update from Harbaugh when that game finished up, which is they fully expect Lamar Jackson back for week number 8. They're going to hit their bye week, and then the Ravens get back to it. So we check in on a 17-3 loss for the Ravens. That was pathetic. Derrick Henry, though.
24 carries.
A lot of yards. Love that. What do you make of Baltimore? Let me see if I can pull this up quickly here. I think they have it posted.
Yeah.
Updated win total for this team is 8.5.
But we saw the
8.5. So
yeah, but look at the second half of
8 more wins.
8 more wins, right? So they have what? The Bears coming up?
8 more wins. You have 11 games. They have to go 8-3 rest of the way.
All right, so Miami, Jets,
8-3 rest. Are they a dog anywhere other than at Green Bay?
Maybe the Patriots?
They're home for that game. No chance. No chance. At Cincinnati, if Joe Burrow returns.
What's right under? I can't tell that. What's right under the Viking game? Who is that?
That's the Browns.
That's the Browns? I can barely see that.
How do you pull it up on that spaceship you got there?
That's all right.
Why are you trying?
I'm looking at the Browns.
How about this? Hold on.
How many is?
Ready?
Wait, let me ask you this. How many under centers is Lamar? Is he under there for? If they have to go 11 games, is he under there for at least 9?
They're booking it that he's there for all of the remaining games. That's what they're thinking.
Here's the problem that I have with or without Lamar. This offense has not gotten involved, Zay Flowers. They have not gotten involved.
That's your problem?
No, big picture. Forget the defensive woes.
Forget the defensive woes?
Yeah, because we know that's a constant.
You're a maniac.
Because let's call it what it is. They are in a similar situation to what Cincinnati was last year. With no injuries, but they were at a huge deficit that they had to climb out of. And everybody said as long as Burrow and T. Higgins and that offense with Chase were there, they would be able to make a run to potentially 9-8 and make a playoff run, right? Yeah. Okay, great. Lamar's back, but they're not consistent offensively.
Right.
This is not the same offense that we've seen even prior to Lamar getting hurt. Right? We've seen Derrick Henry fumble the football. They haven't relied on him without Lamar. They're 2.3 yards per carry 2 weeks ago. They get blasted by Houston. I mean, now he gets the ball 24 times. Huntley and Cooper Rush could barely get up across midfield in the passing game. If Lamar Jackson is there, what's going to change?
Well, I think
Lamar
things
Jackson open up.
There,
they're automatically
going to
score 40 points a game.
That's the thought. That is the thought, though. The thought is the offense is going to be one of the 3 best in football as long as he's there.
I don't buy it.
But the offense was that good when he was there.
Not against Kansas City.
Yeah, that was a nightmarish game for them, understandably. But, Joe, prior to that, they had scored 30, 41, and 40. I mean, that is the thought for this football team.
But the more you lose, right, and you take on that losing mentality where all of a sudden your back's against the wall.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
start to question your identity as a team.
Let's say this team needs to be 9-8 to make the playoffs. Okay?
Yeah.
Would you give them a chance?
Yeah, of course.
At making a run?
Yeah, as long as Lamar's there, they have a chance. But if we're talking odds right now, outside of playoffs, there is nothing I've seen from this football team that warrants them being even at a hint of a championship or a deep run type of contender.
The prices have dropped a lot, Joe. Like they finally have. I mean, it took them to get down to 1-5, but
last year, like Burrow, you knew Burrow was healthy. You knew Chase was the best wide receiver in the game. You knew that they were going to throw it 50 times to outscore people. You just knew that, and the schedule was light. Now we have Lamar potentially under center. Is he 90? Is he 100? Is he 80%? We'll never know the full situation. And this team still has offensive question marks.
Let me just do it like this, though, for you, okay? Because this is fun. So they come out of the bye. They host Chicago.
Not going to be easy.
But here's the thing. If they lose that game, none of this matters. Literally.
But it's not going to be easy either.
But let's just say they win the game.
Okay.
The next 4 games.
Dolphins
on a Thursday night. Mini-bye road trip to Minnesota, at Cleveland, home against the Jets. They will be favorites in every single one of those games.
Absolutely. The game I worry about is Minnesota.
But here's the deal. Let's say they go 3-1.
Okay.
I'm handing them the Bears game because, again, the conversation is thrown. So that means in the next 5, they go 4-1. They're a 5-6 football team all of a sudden, right? Outside of that, then, Joe, you're home for a Thursday night against Cincinnati. You got another mini-bye all of a sudden going for a home game against Pittsburgh. You're then at Cincinnati, and you're home against New England. I mean, they're going to be favorites in every single one of those games.
Yeah, but just because they're favorite, the games that worry me are the last 3, Pats, Green Bay, and Steelers. Because divisional opponent, where's Aaron Rodgers? Do they have the division locked up at that point? Green Bay, are they fighting for a number 1 seed? Patriots might have their playoff hopes on the line. That's not going to be an easy gauntlet. From a schedule perspective, the one defense that scares me the most right now, early on, to make this bet is Minnesota. Just knowing how Kansas City got after him with the blitz, and you know that Flores is going to test him out early. Hey, let's see you're 100% healthy. That could be a road bump before you even get started. So, and I know we're talking Cincinnati. Is there no timetable now for Joe Burrow, or we just chalk it up? He's not coming back this year.
Well, I mean,
we haven't heard anything.
And look, we will get into that in a moment. We will. But I think for me, Joe, the world where this team is 8-7 with 2 to play.
It wouldn't shock me, Kev.
But the tricky thing is, the 2 to play would be at Green Bay and at Pittsburgh,
which is going to be difficult.
And that's
And do you believe in that defense in those 2 games?
I'm not.
If all things were equal in previous years, you would have said their defense potentially could carry them. Now they're a glass house.
Yeah.
And they had who they have back? They had Kyle Hamilton back.
I know, but the defense did play. But the defense played better.
But again,
for me. But, Joe, I'm getting this team.
I'll just say that they're better off if Lamar's not back for give out Huntley. Huntley was much better than Cooper Rush.
But just listen to me quick. This team was around 5-1, 6-1 to win a Super Bowl preseason.
Yeah.
They're now double that to win a conference. We're now 22-1 or so to win a Super Bowl. I mean, the numbers for Baltimore have moved. Undeniably.
Right, and rightfully so. Again, you could say it's a buy low opportunity, like you're never going to get this price again, but it's down here for a reason. And again, they have so many question marks, it's like the bottom could be falling out.
Yeah, I think that is true. I think this is one of the more fascinating situations that we have right now in this league, and it's certainly one that we're going to continue to follow on SportsGrid. We're running up against a break, but when we get back, it's myself, Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi, for a little primetime preview on Pro Football Today.
Well, maybe that Chiefs dynasty is actually crumbling. And listen, I don't blame you for that, but you would be wrong. Here's what actually happened in that game last night. See, the Kansas City Chiefs dominated the Jacksonville Jaguars pretty much up and down that field. They outgained them, Donnie. You ready by this? By over 150 yards of offense.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Basically a year's worth of starts at this point, because remember, Drake May was not the starter out of the gate during his rookie year last year. That was Jacoby Brissett. There have been some, encouraging performances and, I think some flashes of what could be upper echelon talent within the scope of the league. But going into this year, it was, we're going to find out.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night, bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190.
Right.
These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are we going to sit here today and acknowledge that the Indianapolis Colts right now are the best team in the AFC?
They are right now.
They can run the football with Taylor. They got a competent quarterback the way he's playing right now in Daniel Jones. They are well coached.
They never punt.
They never punt.
They never punt.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Pro football today, Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi. We got a doubleheader on a Monday night. How do we feel, Joe?
Feel good about them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Strong? Gonna mix in a little baseball?
Nah.
Let's start in Atlanta. The Falcons off a bye. They host the Buffalo Bills. Numbers been moving a little bit throughout the week. Clearly some love for Atlanta. What's interesting as I look right now, it's 3.5 everywhere. One loose 4.5. No flat fours as far as the side goes in the football game. Total between 49.5 and 50. Side total, you get in the props world.
Well, I'm involved in the props world, but I like Buffalo on the under here.
Okay.
I just think that Buffalo on the road, I think they're a much more complete team coming off a loss to New England. I think they bring their A game. I think it looks on paper like it'll be a high-scoring game. But I don't know if Penix and that offense want to get into a shootout with one of the best in Josh Allen in this offense. So, again, I think they utilize Bijan Robinson a little bit more to keep Josh Allen in that offense on the sidelines. I do look to James Cook, not on the ground, but in the receiving game. I think he could have a huge day.
Yeah.
30, 40, 50. You look at James Cook when he's utilized on the road, has better receiving numbers, especially in bigger matchups that matter to the Buffalo Bills in the receiving game as opposed to just running them when they do at home. So, again, Ty Johnson potentially could get involved, but I think it's James Cook. I altered him as high as 30-plus in the receiving game tonight.
Yeah, I'm on Buffalo here. I laid the 3.5 with the Bills. I think this number is just short. I really do. I understand Atlanta's coming off of a bye, but for Buffalo, they're coming off of a loss, and I think that might matter just a little bit more. This is a weird Falcons team. Again, I am going to sing this, fact forever. They were shut out by the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Shut out
Yeah.
by the Carolina Panthers. So for me, Buffalo had what was their worst offensive game of the season, and relative to location, as one of the worst offensive games they played in a while. They scored 30 every single game in Orchard Park. So coming off of that game, I think this Bills offense on a rough day probably gets you 27. I'm not sold that Atlanta's here getting 24+. I'm not.
No.
I agree with you. I lean a little under in the game. I think it has a weird feel to it here a little bit. Both running backs make sense props-wise, but you're not getting cheap numbers on Bijan or James Cook. Books obviously are prepped for it, but I think this is a Buffalo spot. I thought, because they're the Bills, I thought this would be closer to 6, quite frankly.
Right.
I really did. I think there's just an overinflation here due to off the bye and what we're seeing here for maybe home field advantage. I like Buffalo.
And I'm not buying into Raheem Morris in this spot. Again, I think he's another coach that we have to mention. What has he done in Atlanta right now, right? I mean, he's coached his team down. They're basically just a middle-of-the-road type of football team. And again, defensively, they're slightly improved, but they're going to have to shut down one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. I just don't see it. I think Allen potentially 2 touchdowns. I think he can make some plays with his legs today. And again, I think James Cook in the receiving game, just the way Bijan is utilized with that offense in Atlanta, look for Cook to get involved tonight.
All right, let's get to game number 2 here, which has actually ended up, I think, and I have to kind of, I don't know, I can go back and write them down, but I think it's my second favorite side so far this year. My favorite side we've seen this season, I doubt it'll be beat. It was Miami in Buffalo catching 12 and a hook on a Thursday night. Shout out Mike McDaniel and the boys. They absolutely went. By the way, Tua threw a pick in that game that I thought was going to end up being a pick 6 to break the cover. Yeah. He almost did it again against the Chargers. I don't know if you saw that. Derwin James really hooked up.
Chargers were one of my favorite sides. I took the 3. I laid the 3.5. I also had a money line, so I was covered.
Okay.
Once they got the lead, I said, please get me back into scoring position.
Yeah.
So I sort of pushed that type of bet.
He almost threw that pick 6, though, too. Derwin James did him a favor.
And they had him dead to rights. They were down 13 points, the Dolphins. I mean, they made some. Coach McDaniel, always a great head coach, has the lead at half and loses it again.
Listen, you know what? I can get into that. Tonight we're going to be live for a lot of these games, so we'll talk maybe a little Dolphins then. I love the Bears here. I love the Chicago Bears. This is a spot where, so I just talked about maybe Atlanta's getting a little overinflated because they're off the bye. You would think the Bears played yesterday with the way that they're booking this game, in my opinion. I think these are very even football teams. I don't know if you disagree with that, but I think these are very even football teams. Give the Commanders, credit for their big win in L.A. I think it was a good spot for them with Jaden Daniels getting back. You've got no Terry McLaurin, a still banged-up Deebo Samuel, a Chicago group who is actually off the bye week here. And, I mean, listen, I know everyone's going to say it, but I'll say it. Revenge, 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 revenge. Their season ended last year at the hands of the Washington Commanders. I think the Bears win this game outright.
Well, great point. I'm going to lay it 5.5 with Washington. Shocker, I know.
Great point.
Great point. Great. No, but wait.
Why do you even mention you're going to lay it? Because the thing is, you don't even like the side in the game. Why do you even mention that? You don't. But you don't like the side in the game.
Can I give my analysis?
Hurry.
My best bet in this game is the over, 49.5. Just because of what happened last year, it was a lower scoring game. Both quarterbacks potentially didn't live up to the hype, even though Daniels threw us to Hail Mary. They're going to show out today. 250-plus, multiple touchdowns, like DJ Moore, like Zach Ertz to hit pay dirt tonight.
That bet slip will have every tight end for 2+, and there won't be any 5.5 in there, but you just had to say that.
Laporta!
We'll see you next time. Pro Football Today. Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi. Hopefully these go better. I'm smashed before 1 on these games. I cannot believe that this game destroyed me. I can. Why did I get involved live? That's on me, not
That
you.
is on you.
All right.
That's on you.
You didn't have to run up the score. I said it was on me.
It was on you.
Right.
You just didn't see the writing on the wall. Knee it! Let's get out of Dodge.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Can I get an ISO? Come on. Give me the ISO over here.
Give
right
me the
here.
ISO. He wants the camera.
Look, I'm going to get nice and comfortable right now. I've been telling you people out there, yes, you people, about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. My connection to the Irish growing up as a kid, I hated that team. But they called me at the network the most unbiased man here, which means I'm giving you the information straight from the mouth here. You don't have to go anywhere. You get it from me.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
You're looking at Joe Burrow being the guy that I was in on the beginning of the year. Clearly, that is no longer an option. So where are we looking on this board? And I keep landing on the same thing, which is, Baker Mayfield's been kind of the story this year. Think about this. He's plus 950 for MVP. They look like right now one of the, if not the most formidable team in the NFC.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But Tua goes out there, my kids love me. I'm rich. I don't care. you got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, like, dude, like, the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. Like, if I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.